Cover installing the Rostra 250-1799 in a manual transmission 2010 Hyundai Accent vehicle. So starting with one of the first steps they have you do is they have you install the cruise control module. Where I put it is over here. It's this black box. I've got it mounted on that bracket like that. It doesn't fit that well. You can see it's touching in the back there, but this is the best place I could find for it, and it works pretty well. For grounding it, you're going to take this wire and you're going to put it down by that. Just take off the bolt, put that on top of it, put the bolt back on. Not too hard. Most of these bolts are 10 millimeters too, for those of you who want to know that. The wiring harness, what I did is I just had it go along the back. Goes around here. And then what you're going to want to do with it, and this is step 2 I think, is it's going to go all the way down there. It's really tricky to do, but there's really no other way. And there's this little, you can see some other stuff coming out of it too. The fire grommet that they mentioned in the instructions. I'll show you a view from the other side in a bit, but what I did is I ended up just punching a little hole and then pulling it through that way. I think I wrapped some cords, some like twine or string would work around the wiring harness, and then I pulled it through by yanking on that. The wires could take a little bit of force damage or anything, thankfully. Alright, step 3 in the instructions is installing the throttle cable mounts and assemblies and all that. That's all this right here. They'll have you take off this cover, and they'll probably have you take off that little guy right there too that my light's on. That's pretty straightforward. But what you're going to do is the bracket that you're replacing is over here. You're going to take off the one that's already on your vehicle. You won't need that anymore because the one they're going to have you replace it with has a spot for the second throttle wire that's connected to the cruise control. That wire connects over here. You can't see it too well because I have everything reassembled. But the instructions make it pretty clear. It just connects to that whole thing to give the engine gas. On the other side of the vehicle, I'll show you the fire grommet again from this side. Remember, this is a manual vehicle, so you've got the gas, the brake, and the clutch. I did remove this giant panel here below the steering wheel. The way you do that is you have to remove there's a bolt here and here after you take off the little fuse hatch. There's a screw over there. There's a screw over here. And then there's also, you can pop this out, little panel here, by pushing on it from this side, I think. Or you can just pull on it. And then there's a couple things you have to remove in here too. There's a screw up here, and then there may or may not be a screw down below, just some Phillips heads. You have to remove those as well. It's not going to come out too easily. It's got a lot of these little pop tabs, but you just have to yank on it, and hopefully it doesn't break and you can get it out. But I highly recommend doing that. It'll make the rest of this a lot easier. So the fire grommet, that's this black thing that I've got my light on over there. Hopefully you can see it. Yeah, you're going to want to take that off. Just taking off the little bolts, it'll come right out, and that'll make it a little bit easier to work with. So as for your connections, you're going to have the first thing they have you do is they have you connect to the brake. For my vehicle, you can trace it from the actual brake pedal, but it goes all the way in the corner there. You can see the red and purple violet wire they mentioned in the instructions connecting to, on my vehicle, is a red and green instead of a red-orange. But the red to red, that's the most important part. That's your hot wire. That's going to be supplying power to your cruise control. Now, do not connect, because I've got 2 other T-tap connectors. Those are wrong. Those connect to some brown wires with the stripe and stuff. You don't want to use those. They're a lot more accessible, which is why I connected to them, because I didn't realize the others existed. But you're going to want the ones in the corner. You don't really see where they connect on each end, but you see a little bit of tape exposed, at least on my vehicle, in the middle. If you don't see the wires, try peeking around at the tape, see if you can find the red wire. Next thing they have you do in the instructions, I'm trying to follow their order, is they have you connect the brown access cable to the pink one in the fuse area. Not sure how well you can see this, but it's the pink wire. It's the top left of the different fuses, the different connections there. There's like 3 big white ones at the top, and it's the one on the left. And you can see it's just a pink wire. Just gonna slide the blue T-tap on that. And then they have you do one more T-tap connection, and that's this VSS cable. Yeah, that one, the instructions were pretty clear about this, I thought. It's going around to this thing here, yeah. And here, sorry, let me back up again. So there's the steering wheel. You're going to this thing. You can see the little holes here. Sorry, you can't do it with the light, but the third one over on the bottom row from the right, you're going to want to connect to that wire. So if you look from the other side, you can see that it's the red-orange wire, or whatever they mention in the instructions. But that's the wire you're going to want. From there, it should be pretty straightforward. Just slide the little pins into the connectors, then connect the connectors.